start with realistic. The actual Castlevania characters' legs are literally a head longer than they should be. And I will adjust that all afterwards, so don't stress. I like to start with the plane again. Multiple ways to start it. You can start with the cylinder plane. I like to start with the plane. Convert to poly. I like to work from the belly button outwards. Please don't worry about the belly button. You'll be doing that detail in ZBrush Mudbox. Just put a plane over it. I'm going to start straight dead center. Go straight to the edges, or halfway will work, whatever works for you. So let's go to there. I'm going to bring all of it down. Start shaping it. I'm going to try and literally soften everything out because his pose is too rigid. So I'm going to just bring it through. And now we're going to go straight to the end. Right there, rotate. I'm going too detailed now. Let me just do what I normally would, and that's bring it straight to there and to just above there. Okay. The hardest points here are that and that, because you need to bend them properly without having too much deformation. Okay. And now we just need to bring these straight to the center of the body, wherever you want to. Let's place it to where the beginning of the lat would be. Start getting it to follow through the body. And now I'm going to bring it, once again, I'm going to go straight to the back this time. And right to the middle. Switch between verts, edges, whatever works for you. I like to switch between both of them. And I'm going to bring it to the middle, scale it down, and I like to have it slightly over the center line, so it'll do a symmetry. It's creating an ugly shadow. Just right click and say turn shadows off, so I can actually work properly. Okay, now I'm going to put a symmetry. Probably will break because it's trying to work out the symmetry in the middle. Let's just go and place the symmetry to the actual center of the world. Go to your hierarchy tab, effect pivot. Make sure you right click everything to be 0. Okay. Oh, and this if people haven't handed in anything for last module, please hand it in so I can still grade it and give you something rather than a 0. 0 is not as nice on the, especially if you intend to do 3D next year, you need to keep above 60. And there's the little torso. We need to add in, as you can see, more detail now because it's literally starting to collapse in on itself. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to start getting some of the shape. I'm going to go to the top and see. We need one row of detail there, so I'm going to grab those two edges because at the moment there's nothing, and connect it once. If you need to right click and connect, it'll just be a lot easier for this. I need to keep speed going, otherwise we're going to be here all day. There we go. And now we need to check the front. And we need to add another row of detail in here because we're literally starting to lose shape everywhere. But I like to go to the extremes and then work my way in. Connect only once. I'm going to try keep the mesh as friendly for ZBrush as possible and Mudbox. Just start shaping them. Grab those, slightly shift them over. Go to the left viewport, shift it in. Try to get this just under the chest, and then we can work out the rest of the topology. Okay, and bring it back. I will do the legs separately and attach. I will do the arms separately and attach. You can do it all one go if you really want. That's up to you. I like to keep my headaches to a minimum, especially if I'm doing a character. Okay. Once we get around the pelvis, these lines have to run up, otherwise you will not be able to connect properly. Now what I'm going to do is try to get a line running down the middle, just to be able to get it, but we'll add that later. Let's not worry too much about it for now. Let's get this chest going. We'll need to add in another row of detail down the middle here. So I'm going to literally take this whole line here and chamfer it. And split it into 2 lines. Because that one line's not going to work. So chamfer it, spread it apart. Once again, you will have to reshape the front because you added more detail. And just shift it over. Once again, bring this up and bring this in. That's fine. Shift this over a little bit. And now we need to bring in start creating the chest. So I'm going to grab in this edge and this edge, go to my left view, and shift it up. Just start creating it, shifting it. bring it there, start, literally what I'm trying to create is the bottom of the chest muscle, and start bringing these in to bring it literally over there. Just start imagining the contours going on in the model. So we're trying to bring this one up. You can, if you really want to be weird and do, if you don't want to confuse yourself, you start following the contour from the out of the chest and work your way in to the there, and then you can see, okay, we're slightly off in the front. Start bringing the front in and bring the edge in. Just start shifting them all and once again, you're losing shape, keep reshaping it. If you're going to do a female, please make sure you work the circles out from the nipples outwards, because it's not like the man chest. You can get away with simple straight lines across. Unfortunately, the female chest is a little bit trickier. Okay, I'm going to connect one row of detail. Literally connect once only. There, connect once. Once again, make sure that it's running smoothly. And it seems to be fine. And now it's up to you which way you want to bring it. You can bring it across or up, however you wish. Does it really make a difference? No. I'm going to target weld this one to there. I'm not even going to shape it. I'll shape it afterwards. And target weld that one down. And once again, start getting it to follow some. We're trying to get it to go to the clavicle. So start getting it to shape slightly toward the clavicle, up and down. Only because this is going to be very important how it bends. Let's turn the smooth on, bring this one back, bring this a little bit forward. I'm not going to get too anal about the shape because I will try to keep it as soft as possible and then reshape it, a lot of it in Mudbox. Okay, once again, in this case I'm going to grab just the top pieces again, get it to go to the clavicle, get that to go. Yeah, I'm going to start shaping it towards, so we have some detail going into the neck. So bring that to the end there and bring that up here. Go to the left view, see if it's actually working. Too far forward. Just start shifting these things back. Just see the contours. You can see the line will run smoothly all the way through unless there's supposed to be a kink in the body. Generally, you don't have weird kinks unless you actually probably do. Who knows? Let's shift this forward, across. This is where the joint is going to connect. This will bend nicely if we keep that as a separate piece. Okay, I'm going to try to keep the arm and model right through with the arm, but let's see how it goes. If we're going to do that, then I'm going to have to add in another row of detail here just to bring in that detail over there. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to grab this edge here, that edge there, and connect once only. Once again, go to your left viewport and see if everything's still running smoothly and not creating weird kinks or anything. And because we added the row of detail, we're going to get some weird detailing. So just push it out a little bit, soften it out. Once again, at the end, I will grab a relax like we did with the face and put a relax over it all just to slowly soften everything out. Once again, get it to go to the corner. There. And I like to add a row of detail just on the inside of the chest over here. And please make sure, you can see the mistake I'm making. It's looking a little bit too pointy. So just grab all of it, slightly shift it forward and over. Grab everything first before you do that. And there. Forward and over slightly. Okay. And the same with the bottom and the stomach. Just slowly soften it out. Okay, now what I like to do in the corner here is, because it's actually the muscle, bring it slightly in and bring the middle one in. And once again, I'm not going to sit there for years of my life trying to figure that out or worry about it. What I might need to do is just connect these. As you can see, there's multiple verts floating, doing nothing. Let's just weld them. Weld, pump up the tolerance. Just make sure wherever they are, just click weld. Now you can just click the weld button and it'll weld all of them all the way. Just make sure they're done. I must have obviously done something interesting to create multiple verts. Problems solved, I hope. Okay, I'm going to leave a hole for the, literally a hole for the arm. Now let's start shaping around this part here. Grab this edge here, there and there to create the shoulder. I'm going to literally take it to the extreme. From the top to the middle and there and there. I'm trying to follow that muscle through just in case Some of you are getting lost. I'm just trying to follow that through all the way. With the lack of detail, it might make it a little bit tricky, and because I don't have a top view of it, I'm going to have to eyeball it as best as possible. Flatten it out because it's the top of the arm. Go to the top of the body, make sure it is flat. That's fine. Just bring it over. We'll have to add another row of detail. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to grab there, there, and there, and connect once. Once again, only connect once. Try to add little amount of detail as possible all the way through. We need to give this shape because now it's starting to get too pointy. And there. And there. See how it looks from the front, from the left. Just give it some little bit of shape. Once again, grab those back ones. So in this case, just double click on that. Bring it all back, bring it down. See what it looks like. Just slowly, double click on the edge to make sure you grab all your edges and slowly shift it over. Okay. Looks like my front and my back are really not lining up, so I'm just going to quickly unfreeze it and line this one up, the back one to the front one. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly grab my align tool, snap it, just make sure it snaps X, Y, and Z, and X, Y, and Z. Just make sure that they are slightly flipped it over, so let's just flip it back up. Oh wow, we are winning today. There we go, that's better. And I'm going to just quickly freeze them again, so we don't by mistake select it. And because I was special this morning, just move this forward so it doesn't, as you can see, my planes can only be seen from one angle. If you want to do that with yours, you just go right click, object properties, turn on back face culling. What that means is you will only see what the camera sees. So you'll never see the back end of it, and that will help for front and back. Okay, so now if I go to my back viewport, let's just start. Now I need to shape the back. As you can see, my back and my front are not lining up. Let me just quickly freeze and just slightly shift it down and over. And then I'll fix it up. Seems to actually be running nicely. Go to the top viewport. Yeah. Except for it's a little bit too flat in that. So let's just start shifting these over. Always make sure that nothing's ever running too flat, because it will just look weird. Let's start running it, because you need it to eventually close off and come back to the body. Okay, I think that is actually fine for now. And now we'll need this to come back into the back. So once again, grab this edge at the back, bring it down. I'm going to hide everything else but the body that I'm currently working. And now I'm going to somehow connect this back into here. Okay. Don't bring it straight to the middle, please. You can bring one down to here, bring one there. So let's target weld, and then we'll figure out any weird smoothing issues. Just target weld. We'll have to add one more row of detail, and so then we just do that quickly, because we don't want to lose too much. I know we're not going to, my character's not going to have much in the back, but we don't want to lose too much detail in the back. And we're going to have to add in another row of detail just for that. Okay. Let's see, we need to add it once again, another row of detail in there, just because now we're losing the shape of the shoulder. So don't worry about that for now, please. Don't sit and get hung up on something that is trivial. Now let's just go fix that shape up. The key here is just to make sure that the shape follows so it doesn't distort and doesn't break when you're actually skinning it. There's two terminology you will learn. Skinning means literally taking the mesh you've done and making it follow the bones. And rigging is literally creating the skeletal structure so it has something to follow. Okay, so there is two different reasons and two levels of craziness. If you want, you can follow that edge through, but I'm just going to leave it. We need to add another row of detail, as you can see in here, just to be able to close this off. So let's first close that gap so we don't have gaps going on forever. Connect. Target weld it. Up in there. And now I'm going to just start slowly closing these problem areas off. Connect again. Right click, I'm just going to say connect. Bring this over, just that one. Flatten it out. And then we're going to target weld this one. to there, and then bring it straight to the middle so we know that the symmetry works. Okay. As you can see, we're having some lovely issues over here, so just make sure these are all welded. Click on your weld, make sure that they literally welded, or otherwise you're going to have a lot of issues. Because we added extra of detail, you can see it's starting to get very, very flat. Just start shaping it again. Just space it apart. In this case, go and space it nicely. Put this to the middle of the back. Middle of the back. Don't go too crazy because you have to add another row of detail. I'm going to fix this triangle issue by target welding this to that point and that point. So now we've got a quad, 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 quad. There are quads everywhere. And we didn't have to follow through all the detail insanely. Because you don't want too much detail everywhere because it will cause issues. And bring this back. And now we'll need to add, like I said before, ring and add a row of detail there. Connect once only. So right click, connect, unhide all, and let's go see how much it's totally deformed from the original shape of the mesh, and start shifting it back. The moment you realize that every time you add detail you're going to have to shift things around, you'll be happier and less frustrated. As you can tell over here, the arm's not bad, we just need to shift everything, so I'm going to just grab all of it, no matter how unrealistic it is, and shift it back, and then we can always alter it and move it back. Okay, once again, I'm going to shift this slightly over and shift over so we can keep the topology running nicely. Just make sure once again that the arm is not terribly flat. Rotate. If you need to, just use rotate. Don't be afraid to rotate, scale, place. There's no right or wrong. As long as the topology doesn't run terribly, you're generally pretty safe. This one might need to move a little bit forward. And this one needs to move a little bit back. Okay, there we go. What I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to make the arm entirely separate. First let's bridge this little gap underneath here. It's as simple as grabbing there, and going bridge. See if that's we might actually be able to get away with bridging one more up. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Bridge. Yeah, and then we can shape this a little bit better so we can actually attach that arm later on. Please, once again, don't spend years of your life trying to do this because you're going to have to attach the arm to it. Okay, now we're going to start. I like to start with the leg, just because the leg is a little bit easier than doing the arm. So once again, start with the cylinder. I like to start with an 8-sided. Please don't go more than 8-sided, please, because you're going to really not like yourself. Rotate it to try and get the front ends flat, so this edge flat and that bottom edge flat. And then convert it to a poly. I'm going to call it leg for now so we know what it is. Call the other one body instead of plain cylinder because you could just totally forget. Okay, I'm going to hide the body for now. Please don't go too detailed once again. I'm going to start where, let's say, over here, just above the ankle. Scale it down. Make it see through, slightly rotate it off. What I'm going to do is model the leg and then have to place it slightly further apart for skinning purposes. For now, we'll just model it and stick to the rules. Scale it. Just sit there and scale it until you get the shape right. Let me just quickly freeze all my reference material. So apparently I did not freeze all of it again. Now, on the front viewport, it's not too bad. Left is slightly still off. Just scale it up. Just pick an angle, for example, the y-axis, and scale it only in that one, or the z, or the x, whatever works for you. I'm going to convert it to a poly now, and make sure I kill both the top and the bottom faces because we don't need them. And now I'm going to go once again to the extreme. I'm going to go all the way to just below where the knee should be, say over there. Rotate it slightly. The knee joints are the easiest to skin, and the elbow joints. The hardest are, once again, like I said, the pelvis and the shoulder. And in a lot of cases, the wrist. We will need another row of detail, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, let's connect once, just once. Right click, say connect. You need to add a turbo smooth so you can see what it's actually doing. Otherwise, you won't be able to see what the smooth is actually doing. Just grab all the middle ones. Go to the extreme of where the calf actually starts to be the biggest. Go to your left viewport, shift it in, make sure that that's pretty flat, and see if you need to shift these around. Okay, don't add too much detail once again to start off with. That'll be fine. The next one will be the middle of the knee, so I'm going to shift this just underneath, hold shift, create a new one. I'm going to scale it forward, bring it in, scale it, and start shaping it over. Just double click this edge and this, bring that slightly over. Now that we're done there, just hold shift and bring it up again. Please just add a row of detail on the top and the bottom of the knee for now. You're going to have to add a lot more detail later on, but for now that's more than enough. And now we're going to go straight to there. Scale it all together and then you can adjust it. Okay, and move it over. And as you can see, we'll need another row of detail in there. Just slightly shift this over. Now go into your low poly mode and say, okay, I need a row of detail there and there. Because you don't want to have too little detail either. Especially not when it comes to texturing. You want at least some decent... The unwrap will hold up a lot better if you got more detail. And just start shaping it. Shape it tediously, but keep going. I'm going to try go as quickly as possible. Now what I need to do here is I will bring it slightly below, because we need to start funneling the shapes up. Okay. What that means is literally grab, in this case, the front ones are very important. Grab the front shapes and start bringing them up. Start getting that to follow that shape. The side ones can come up here. And there. Okay. Just make sure you keep them following through. Double click, hold shift, bring it up. Now we're going to bring it literally directly over there and start once again. The reason is so then you know literally where it's going to fold in the skin. And you bring it up. Now I'm going to go to the extremes and go all the way to the top. And then we can fill out the rest of the detail. There. Let's go to the back. You can set a key for the back. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, bring it up. Bring it up. Bring it in. Just start shaping again. Make sure everything shapes nicely. We're losing a little bit of shape in the leg, but not terribly. Once again, I try to keep it as generic as possible. Okay, now we got the edges running nicely. The front is literally the V, where it's going to bend. The back eventually flattens off. We'll have to... Now I'm going to start softening this off because we need to add more detail in here. So just slowly start spreading this detail along this part of the upper thigh. And don't forget to always reshape, because the moment you add more detail, you just have to just reshape. Go to your left side. As you can see, this one didn't come with it. Just adjust it. Adjust. And now we're going to add more detail in there. In this case, I want to add 2 rows of detail, so at least we don't totally lose the butt shape. So click ring, connect twice. I'm going to connect 1, 2. Now we know the edge loops are running nicely to be able to skin it. Bring it over. And just slowly, just massage them over a little bit. Go to the left viewport. Now we have a lot of work to do on the left side because, well, we're totally losing shape. Once again, don't go into worrying about severely insane amount of detail. Just push the shape out. That's all you really need to do for now, because you will be doing a lot of the detailing afterwards. I'm going to try to get this to the bottom so we can get that curve going. We need, unfortunately, might need another row in here. So I'm going to bring this one down and start shaping to get the bottom of the... You don't really need to add another one in. I like to, so I just have some detail to work with. And just see how it's going. And space it over. Just once again, always keep an eye on your topology, because I like to keep it neat. And as you can see, it kinks in a little bit there. That's going to cause some weird issues. So you might as well just fix it. Let's see how that looks. That might be definitely way too far in. We're going to have to kill that face, but for now, let's just leave it. Or just slowly, what you can do is shift these over. Yeah. But don't really, once again, don't stress too much. It's going to give you headaches over nothing. You can just easily delete it and start cleaning these meshes up, because you will need to have the topology running a little bit better in that area. But let's leave it for now. That'll be fine. And that'll be our leg for now. Please don't worry. Now we're going to try to connect it to our body. So just unhide all. Grab our body. We're going to have to bridge that gap, which is not a problem. Hide and select. I'm just going to hide everything else. Grab the top. Make sure that Turbo Smooth is killed. Don't by mistake collapse it. Okay. What I'm going to do quickly while we got a chance is what I wanted to do before and just add another row of detail here. What I'm going to do, instead of bringing it all the way through, I'm going to just try end the edge loop there. So I'm going to connect once. Even if I have to create a triangle, it's fine. It's not going to see it in that little tight spot. And chances are I'll be able to fix it up anyway. So I'm going to connect there. Just right click, connect. And this one, we've got a 5 point. We can easily fix it. I'm just going to let it become a created triangle. It is fine. Now we can fix the issues over there. Bring this up. And then we got extra detail to work with. And once again, because we added the detail, the butt will be relatively flat, but we're not going to worry too much about that for now. Again, I'm going to leave it, shift this up or down, whichever way you want to do it. We're going to have to get to, the symmetry will fix some of the issues there. Grab the top one and attach. So you go and say, okay, attach, and click that one. Now we're going to have to find ways to attach it. I'm going to start off with the easiest parts, which are generally the sides, and I'm going to bridge across the gap. So I'm going to say bridge, bridge. Don't worry about the extreme, just bridge. You'll have to reshape it. And as you can see, we need another row of detail in this. So what I'm going to do is grab this one, bridge, and then we're going to have to create an extra shape over here. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to literally say, okay, I don't need that inside there. And now I've got a triangle here. Please don't worry about it. I'm going to grab this entire little bit here, and I'm going to literally grab this edge here and create a quad out of it. So grab that one over, target weld this to the middle, and delete this little triangle, and then bridge across the gap again. Okay. Unfortunately, this detail is going to have to carry through. So I'm going to, now that I got rid of it, just have to add in a little bit. In this case, connect one, because we need this row of detail to translate all the way through to the inner symmetry area. So just bring this back. There we go. Just give it a little bit of an assistance. See what it looks like. Be careful with areas like this because the legs are so close together, and this is why I definitely am going to quickly just do this. Grab this area here, there. Please try to space it, even with your fingers, as much apart as possible. So just rotate in one area, place it. See what the symmetry is doing? It's getting better. Just fix these areas in here. Rather have them a little bit wider apart than try to have them fight over what's actually happening in there. Because it's trying to weld everything in the middle. Now that we got it, we can start softening everything up over here. Because now we've got extra detail in the middle. Just soften it out. You can always detail that in. And start shaping it better, because this should not be that far down. Just start shaping everything until it at least gets some sort of a shape. I'm not going to, once again, not worry too much. I will fix all that issues. Let's fix the big gap right in the front. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to bring just that poly over. Flatten it, go to the middle, just let it overhang, and now I'm going to bridge this gap. So before I do that, let's just get this to follow some sort of a topology. Grab there, and bridge. Okay. Now we just have this issue at the bottom here. I'm going to try to see if I can bridge across that way. If I can't bridge it, then I will grab this here. Just this one. Bring it over, target weld. Either way, whichever way it works fine. And then bring it over. We've got a triangle. I really am not too concerned about the triangle. And now we need to bring this detail through it back here. So now I'm just going to create it. I'm going to go to poly mode, make sure it turns onto vertex, and I'm going to create a face. Literally, there's a create button, create. Counterclockwise creates a face towards you, counterclockwise creates a face away from you. Once again, I'm sorry for those of you who have started modeling from scratch because you realize your faces weren't facing towards you. All you have to do is flip the faces. Okay, I'm going to just say 1, 2, 3, 4, that's fine. Sorry, You'll notice straight away, if I grab all of them, sorry, don't grab. The bright shininess means it's facing towards you. If it's by mistake facing away from you, and you can see the shininess, just click the flip button. It'll flip them towards you. Okay. If you were doing it in any other program, maybe I'd say, okay, that's a little bit trickier because they don't deal with smoothing groups that well. But because Max has been around forever and it's king of gaming, it has no issues with that. Let's fold this in nicely so we can actually get a nice crease going along here. I think now I'm going to leave that triangle. I'm not really going to be concerned about that triangle. If we are, then all I have to do is go, okay, I really hate that triangle. Connect once here. And now the triangles are quad. Problem solved. There we go. Okay, if that really becomes a problem in your world, in this case it's going to be pants. Really not going to be the end of the world. Let's just start shaping it a little bit better. Once again, it's going to be pants. I'm not going to detail this crazy. Okay, let's go fix it to the real reference and start shaping it again because now we're losing detail. Just make sure it doesn't have to be 100% accurate because I'm going to soften it off anyway. And bring this up a little bit. If you need to, just start getting these lines to run nicely. So I like the lines to at least run decently between both. For example, try to find the even area between those two gaps. There. Make sure that nothing looks flat. Okay, there we go. And now you know when it bends around this area, it's going to bend fine. It's not pretty, but it'll work. Once again, let's do the arm. Hide the body. Let's put a nice, other than this ugly red, let's put something else, grey, with a bit of I like to put a shine on it, a highlight, so you can pick up any major defects. And hide this. Once again, cylinder for the arm. I try to keep the top and the bottom flat. And let's go and bring it from there. Because we modeled this part of it, we just have to carry on the rest of it. So I'm going to start from about the mid of the bicep and scale it down. I don't have a top view, so I have to run with my left and my front as far as I can. Convert it to a poly. Once again, I'm going to kill the end faces. So I'm going to get rid of that and that. And bring it into the middle. To about where the actual joint will bend. This one I can actually bring straight to there, but I'm going to leave that space so we can see how we're going to connect it into the arm. And put a smooth on. No, let's make it a smooth too. And then we can see what we actually have to do to shape it. And once again, start shaping it around. I'm not going to spend all my life trying to figure out what's going on. I'm just going to try shape it as best as I can because the rest, once again, I will do in ZBrush. Hold, Shift, Scale. Make sure the scale tool is set to the top one, not the others, because otherwise it'll just try to scale it in the wrong axes. I'm going to bring it straight to the wrist. I'm not going to rotate my arm as much as he's looking towards camera. It's just going to cause issues when actually skinning it. And now we need another row of detail down here. So just grab all the edges, say grab, connect once, and then just start shaping it again. Verts, sorry, not edges. And start shaping it. And then once again go in every axis and say, okay, it looks too squashed in the edges here. Just grab these down. Grab that one down. Just make sure everything else is running decently. Go to your top view. We know the elbow is going to be yes, so just slowly flush the elbow out with that. Don't stress too much. Bring this out over here. Because we need to try and get that topology running in there, so just keep smoothing it out a little bit. And now we're going to unhide the arm, unhide all, and just attach this. So I'm going to just kill the smoothness and then attach the arm. As you can see, because we were shifting things around, we're losing shape, so just grab all of the top ones. Shift. There we go. Just grab all of it, move it into place. And now we're going to attach the arm. Attach. Once again, we're going to try bridge the gaps and see what we can do here. And because we got an issue here, just grab the element. What an element means is this is used to be an arm, that's the body. That's the body element, that's the arm. Just bring it back into place until it looks like it's sort of lining up. Okay, now let's start fixing this. Looks like we will need a row of detail there, but let's start with the easy ones and bridge this gap over here. Bridge. Definitely need more detail there, but let's bridge the front and the back and then we can troubleshoot the rest. Bridge. You can keep it all in one mesh, or if you really want to do all of it in Mudbox or ZBrush, the easiest way to do it is just extrude the box out of this. Only downside to that is if you bring it back into Max, you're going to have a lot more work to do. I'm going to chamfer this so we can have 2 rows of detail to connect, so I'm going to just chamfer it. Not maybe that wide. That would be fun. Make sure we're not once again losing shape on the front. Put the smooth on. Shift it up. Go to your left viewport. Make sure the shapes always look nice and clean. Now we can bridge this gap. So, grab there. You can actually grab everything all the way to the end. And just click bridge. If they're all facing you, they will bridge properly. If they're not, you will notice straight away. Bridge properly. Now we need to, once again, have the same issue here. The difference is I don't want to carry on the detail all the way through the body. That's just ridiculous. I'm going to connect it to about over there just twice, or once, whatever we feel like it. I'm going to try twice and see how it goes. Okay. And now once again, bridge this gap. Grab all those edges, grab the opposite edges, and bridge. Okay. As you can see, that's going to create quite a harsh, flat edge, so let's just go and shift these around. Go and grab your verts. Start bringing those in to create the armpit. Doesn't have to be the greatest placement, just slightly shift them out, or in, whichever way you prefer. In this case, I want to create the armpits, I'm going to bring them slightly up as well. See what the smooth looks like. That's fine. Go to the front. We're losing too much detail here, so I'm going to start shifting these to create that. Maybe the armpit part just went too far in. Bring the tricep in the back lower along with this one. Just bring all of these a little bit lower. And start shifting once again. Make sure your topology runs nice because this is what's going to drive your deformation on your character. Okay, and then I'm going to bring all of these down. Actually, I'm not going to worry about the hole in the armpit because I can just once again add this in afterwards. Okay, what I'm going to definitely do now is this looked nice when we had it straight, but now we need the topology to run there and there. So you might as well start smoothing it out, seeing where else it's going to break, see what else it's going to do. That's fine. Just look around all the time and make sure that these run in nicely. Just get them to follow, slightly move them in a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. And you basically connected your arm and your leg. This might be too much. As you can see, the symmetry is breaking a little bit, smoothing too much. As you can see, it's just chowing in it too much. You just have to go and fix it up and say, okay, you are smoothing a little bit. Let's move all of this. What I'm going to do in this case to keep safe is just shift everything over slightly so it doesn't eat it too much into it. Like I said, I'd rather have a bigger gap. I can always shift it in afterwards. Just make sure I haven't created any holes. So grab the middle one over wherever the middle one is. That's the wrong middle one. And just shift the middle one in to close it off. Okay. Once again, not the end of the world. Once I'm done with this, I like to relax it. So I go to my top one, type in REL, X, Mega, and just slightly let it soften off. Okay. The key here is don't worry too much about spending too much time in shaping it beautifully. Just try to get the topology running nicely. The key is to get this edge running up and those edges running along there. So when you bend it, you'll have enough detail. What you will probably end up having to do in the end is add another row of detail here just to keep that shape and another row of detail running in here just to keep that shape. Because you don't want it to collapse on itself too much. The reason why I have not carried it into the neck is because I've got my head separately and I will attach it later on. Okay. And that is basically your body. There's nothing much to it. Just try to keep the topology as clean as possible. And that is all you'll be using in Mudbox. What I would do if I was you is don't detail what you don't see. Like my character's got a coat on, so I'm not going to detail the arms much or the back, just the parts you see. Don't spend years of your life detailing things you don't need. Okay. Let's go do the ear. Attach the ear and then do the hand. Okay, this is where we left off. I brought in the ear. I brought it into the other side just to see if everything's coming along nicely. Kill the turbo smooth before you do anything else. What I like to do, and I know it's weird, just slightly place it off so you can actually see what you're doing. Because if it's inside there, it's going to be very tricky to figure out what the hell is going on. Just rather raise it out. Yeah. Yeah. What I did is click on it here, go to import, merge, and you can merge in any mesh you want. So let's go there, and you can merge in whatever you want. It'll give you a choice, and you say, okay, I want the side, the head, whatever you want, you bring it in. Okay, and you click OK, it'll bring it in. And that's why I model it exactly to scale, so all I have to do is merge it in, and the ear was placed exactly where it was before. Now I'm going to attach it. Make sure that that has nothing. It's just a straightforward poly. Go to your bottom level and say attach. Because now, let's just make it the same material, because apparently it's two different grays. Just assign that one. And now you'll notice the ear is attached, but there's a big, beautiful hole. Let's go and actually fix that hole. This is the painful part, but it's okay. Could be worse. I like to think of it logically that I would probably target weld that to there, and then go my way around. So that's basically what I'll do. I'll try the corners and see how it works. Start at that corner, go to that corner, or you can go that corner, that way. Whatever works for you. There's no right or wrong. And then you have to decide, does that go up, or does that one go across? So I'm going to go and say, bring that one there, bring this one there. Weld, please. And then this one can go to there. And then I have to add an extra row of detail for that one there, all the way, and detail there, and 2 rows of detail here. Okay. As you can see, we've connected it, and unfortunately the ear needs a lot more detail than the head. So just start spacing these a little bit, because you know you're going to add more detail in there. So let's start off closing the simple gaps. This one can actually be a quad as it is. So we actually probably got very lucky by going and selecting this one right in here and go grab that face, and bridge. And now you've got a quad. This one, not so easy. You have to actually go there, and say connect. See what we can do here. I'm going to try bring the detail as, I don't want to bring it all the way through the head, it's just painful. It's too much detail for the back of the head and you don't need it. Let's close the gaps, then worry about that kind of situation. Because we moved the ear forward, we have to move all this detail slightly. Just while you add it, start straightening it out. Start straightening out the back of the ear. And don't do what I did, just grab everything. There we go. And bring it in slightly. Because you need the ear slightly goes further in than the front needs to be flat, the back slightly moves in. And once again, just make sure nothing's doing weird pinching. Move that in back slightly. That's a 4-sided. We might end up with a triangle. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm going to create a triangle. Grab this one here. So you grab the big edge here, grab that edge over here, corresponding, whichever one. I don't want to add more detail into that ear. It's already insane. Just connect once. I'm going to target weld. Where are you, target weld? Have I shifted things around now? Probably just find it. Eventually you'll find the target weld. There it is. Target weld this one to the bottom. And now we have less detail. We've got a quad there, but we also, depends which one we want. Look at that smooth and see if it's creating. As you can see, we've got a nice beautiful open gap. I'm going to make a triangle right over here. And now we need to close off this part of the ear because there's also open. We're going to cap it. Luckily enough, that will make exactly a 4-sided object. So now we just need to cap it. Just see if it's smoothing anything weird. And you trust me, you will see what I mean by that is creating some weird smoothing crap, which is bugging my eyeballs. So I'm going to get rid of it and rather just add more detail in here than having to fight it. So I'm going to connect twice because we need to connect it twice here. So right click or go to your connect options at the bottom here, whichever works for you. Because we're doing it connecting it twice wherever the connect has vanished to. Lovely. Okay, I'm having a blind date there, so just ignore me. There we go, right at the top. Connect twice. and say, yep, that's no, only twice, and say fine. And then I want to carry this detail through because we don't want to carry it through the top. I'd rather carry it through the side. I'm going to connect only once this time. And now we can actually bridge that gap because that's just looking ugly. And now I'm going to target weld rather than bridge. So I'm going to say I want to target weld you up, you up. Just make sure, now that we added this extra detail, this is going to be relatively flat because we added a lot more detail. So just start shaping it so it doesn't look so flat. And once again, we got detail running in unnecessary places. This will only take experience. Just weld it to the corners. It's making no sense right now. Now we've got quads all the way around. Even this little funky little thing is a quad. Now put your smooth back on and pray that it looks okay. Not too bad. This needs to move a little bit back. And then once again I'll relax it. We need to close the front piece off now. Front piece needs 1, 2. So I'm going to start off by adding 1 row of detail. Please don't give yourself headaches. Just add 1 row of detail and see how it goes. So I'm going to connect once. In this case I'm going to shift it up to where I want it to actually connect, which is right over there. Because they're so close to each other, I'm just going to grab them and weld them. Click weld. Make sure the tolerance is high enough that it actually welds. If it's not welding, just pump it. You'll notice they become 1 the moment I up the tolerance. Okay, now we've closed off that little gap. Yay. Problem is we got a triangle. But that's not the end of the world, really. Not in this case. It's not the end of the world. Let's try to figure out another way to connect this. We can be sneaky and actually go, this is actually a quad in here. If this happens, it's just because it's not actually remembering what you're doing. Just click bridge rather. And now we've got a quad. You just need to fix this up, shimmy this across a little bit so it doesn't smoothen funky. You'll notice if something's smoothing funky. Okay, just make sure it smoothens, relatively okay. Might be nearly impossible a lot of the times without adding too much detail to get your ear to attach nicely. I'm just trying to get the edge loops running okay again. I'm going to get it to try go around the ear, go back down. Let's fix that before we have any more issues there. This might have to go all the way to the back of the head. We might have unfortunately no other solution there. So that's what we'll do. We'll grab that and connect. Let's click there. Make sure it's 1. And now we just have to connect the 2 verts. So grab that one there and connect. Go to your left view, adjust it. Make sure that you're not losing too much shape from your initial design. And space it apart again. So at least it looks nice. There we go. Not too bad connection. Trust me, it could be a lot worse. Only thing that's really bugging me slightly is just underneath this ear, but you're rarely ever going to get that close and see that. Or the only other solution is that I go and connect this over here, and I'd rather have that triangle than have this triangle. So maybe that's probably a better solution, is to sit there and you say connect, and then just get rid of this and have the triangle in the corner where you can't see it, and have the quad where you can see it. And that will make it look a lot neater. Okay. And that's connecting the ear. Okay. If you notice when you're rotating, sometimes it rotates weird. It rotates around the object you have selected. If you don't have an object selected, it rotates around the center of the world, wherever the center might be. If it's off to the moon, then you will be rotating very weird. Okay. Orthographic view slightly flattens. You'll notice your model looks slightly flat. If you press perspective, not orthographic, it uses about a 45mm lens. So just be careful when you're actually rotating it, that you're actually looking at it in perspective. That perspective is always activated. And now turn all this crap off and see what it looks like. Oh, beautiful. Now you can see the real issue. Something's not welded properly all the way through. The only way to check it is to actually grab it. Even though I thought I targeted weld, it apparently did not. So just go all the way around, grab all the verts that you've just supposedly welded, didn't, and just make sure it does weld. The only way to check is to put your smooth on and just keep an eye out on it. Make sure it welds. I'm going to grab multiples and click weld. Please don't go to the extreme that it welds unnecessary things. Just make sure it welds the ones that you just created. And once again, wherever the ear attached, just keep an eye out for it. That's better. Still an issue over here. Let's just go find out where this issue actually is. This is where the border comes into handy. You'll grab it and say, oh, okay, the issue is right over there. Just weld it. This happens. I don't know why it decided to happen even though I target welded. Okay, there, issue solved. Awesome. And that's connecting your head. Let's go do the hand. Hand is actually probably the easiest thing you'll ever have to model. It's sausages attached to a box. Okay, this reference material is very low that I've got. All I could find is the top, so I'm going to go with it. I'm not going to really get concerned. The hard part here is you need to get the topology to run along this part of the thumb, because the thumb doesn't only bend, it bends all the way halfway into your hand. If you fold your finger, you'll notice that it literally folds into the hand. So you need to get the topology to run along there all the way around. That's the most important point. The rest, not really that important. It's around there that's important. Okay, and the rest is relatively dead straightforward. So we're going to start with, once again, plain. Or you can start with the box, whatever makes you happy. I'm going to start with the plain, it's a lot easier. I'm going to go into X-ray mode, convert it to a poly. I'll make the fingers separately and attach them afterwards. I'll make one finger and make all the other fingers from that one. And bring that there. I'm going to go to the extremes. There and let's say about over there. Make sure it's perfectly flat. Find out wherever my reference is floating about. There it is. Let's go down there. And just bring it as close to my reference as possible. Now we need to add a row of detail because unfortunately the hand's not that flat. So we can connect 2 rows of detail or 1. I'm going to just add 2. Because I know it's going to follow through the hand, so we might as well just carry it going all the way through, lift it up. This does go around, so we can keep that following through. And once again, I'm going to just bridge straight from front to back and then add in more detail. So you just, bridge, not connect, and bridge. I'm going to connect 2 rows of detail at the bottom here. Once again, the same as before. And shape it. Now we're going to go to the bottom of the hand. So just press B to go to the bottom. That topology is not running the way I'd like it. So I'm going to make sure I'm grabbing the bottom verts, or grab them both. It makes absolutely no difference. Try to get that topology running smoothly. My top and bottom don't line up 100%. I'm going to stick with the top for the basic the most of the shape. As you can see, it fits nicely there. The bottom unfortunately does not. I'm trying to get this shape running properly. Okay, so just get it going, because then when it folds at that seam, it'll be perfect. The rest is not that important. It's just around there that's very important. And once again, we will need more detail running in there. So I'm going to grab this edge over here and this edge over here and just chamfer it. Don't go crazy, just chamfer it. Space it. That seems pretty decent. And then I'm going to grab, in this case, there and there. And then I'll worry about the connection for the rest. Go straight to the end of the hand. And start shaping it. Just keep shaping it. Once again, the hand is just a bunch of sausages stuck onto a box. Nothing. The hard part is texturing. It's not the rest that's actually that difficult. Shape this up. And up. Don't bring that end too far up. Okay, we'll need another row of detail in there, but don't worry too much about it for now. Okay, let's do the bottom one. Hold shift, go to the top, and once again, shape it. You could have done both at the same time. I like to make sure that they're both running the way they should be. And plus, it's not the hardest thing to make. It's not going to be the end of the world if you actually slightly spend a bit of time shaping it. I'm going to add the row of detail I want now, so I'm going to ring, connect once. Just once, not twice. And I'm going to just scale it up all the way around. Okay. And now I'm going to put a smooth on too, just to see what it looks like. It's not going to give you the best looking prettiness because we're not trying to aim for, we're just trying to aim it so it can actually work properly. As you can see, I brought that too far in. We need to space this open so we can actually have the wrist attached to this. Otherwise we're having nothing attached to it. Go there. I'm not going to, once again, we only need, this is going to be our first finger, then we have 2 more rows of detail there. Now we're going to continue and start off by grabbing these 2 edges over here. Hold shift, and that's when the first finger will start. Just roughly place it. It doesn't have to be, once again, 100% accurate. What you might want to do in this case, it doesn't have to be that thin where the finger attaches. Space it apart. Actually, I'd like to, generally, I like to space all of it apart and relax it a little bit. Once again, you can always go and shift and add all the little fine creases and detail in Mudbox. And that's roughly where your finger will connect. Go and grab that edge, and bridge. Okay. Grab those 2 edges, rotate, place, that's going to be your first one, rotate, place, that's going to be your second one, and go rotate and in this case scale it down, place to be the end of your hand. Trust me, you'll find a lot of tutorials that are even a lot simpler than this and a lot that are a lot more complicated. It depends when the tutorial was made. Most of the ones after Mudbox and ZBrush are a lot simpler. I'm going to connect 2 rows of detail, as you can see, 1, 2, 1, 2. So you might as well connect them both at the same time and say make it 2 rows of detail. And then we're going to target weld. It makes no difference which way you target weld or weld, whatever you decide to do. I'm just going to weld one to the other so at least we close off the hand. Down, down, and down. Okay. Start shaping the front of the knuckles to start coinciding with the back of the hand. And just give it a bit of a rough shape. I don't like to give it too much detail off the bat. Okay, let's close off the hand. Grab the back end, bridge, back end, bridge. Chances are we'll add in another row of detail there, but for now let's just leave it. Okay, and that's the base of your hand. The important here is that topology, so you can actually fold. Okay. Once again, the rest is pretty simple. We're just going to have to reshape that wrist afterwards, but for now, perfectly fine, just the way it is. Because we're going to still have to connect it to the body, which I'm not going to do today because we'll run out of time. Let's just start shaping this so we actually know where the fingers are going to connect properly. And now that we got more detail, we can actually shape the hand a little bit better. Same as over there, you can shape it a little bit better. Just rotate if you need to. And place it. And these I like to keep it a little bit straight. There we go. Once again, sausages are generally made with cylinders. So I'm going to create a cylinder. This time not 8-sided, I'm going to go with a 5 or 6-sided. Let's go with 6-sided. I like to keep the pivot where the actual finger shoots out from. So I'm going to start with the straightest looking finger, which is that one. Scale it down. Convert it to a poly again. Kill, once again, kill that side, and because we need the finger to close off, so I'm just going to grab that side and actually connect it across so we can have a quad. Right click, connect. Bring this straight to the end of the finger. Okay, Turbo Smooth of 2 again. It's fine. As you can see, we're losing detail. That's because we have no detail from point A to point B. So please don't get too worried, concerned about it. And now we need to add 2 rows of detail for where the actual finger is going to bend. So I'm just going to connect twice. 1, 2. And see how they're placed. Actually not too far off. This one needs to move a little bit forward. So this is just slightly. Okay, I'd like to add, once again, double click in this one. I like to add 2 rows of detail on either side of a joint. So chamfer it with 1 row of detail in the middle and just space it. Okay. And now we need to shape it because granted it's a sausage, it's still slightly shaped sausage. Move it slightly out. In. My character's got long nails, so I might actually have to model the nail in Max and take it through. The rest of the finger I will shape literally in ZBrush. Wrinkles, creases, the works. What I like to do is maybe give it a little bit more shape. Look at your own finger if you need to. Doesn't have to be 100% accurate. I'm just trying to give it a little bit more shape than nothing. Yeah, that's fine. Beautiful. Done. Okay. I'm not even going to create that little kink in. I will do that in ZBrush and Mudbox. What I will create is the nails separately, because he's got very long nails with that. I might add another row of detail in the front here so I can have less issues when it's displacing it. So I might go ring, connect once only. So I can at least have where the nail would start off. And once again, just make sure that the detail we added in extra won't totally kill the shape. Just make sure you grab both of them, unlike what I just did. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. There's one thing. If you want, maybe make it look less round by just slightly shifting it towards each other. But he's got quite bulby fingers, this person, so it's fine. Control V to duplicate this finger. Just kill the turbo smooth before you do anything else, because chances are you will collapse it, and then you are screwed with the high res mesh. Okay. Just rotate. Because I put the pivot at the end, it's so much easier just to rotate it, place it, scale it, rotate it. In this case, I'm going to rotate the finger just to slightly space it and easier to skim. Rotate it, scale it slightly, and place it. The thumb will literally be an extension of this one, so what I'm going to do is just get rid of one joint. Click row. There we go. Let's shrink it a little bit so we have some detail where it connects. And unfortunately the pivot is slightly off, but it's fine. We just place it where we think it should be. Unhide our hand, move our digits down. Okay. Now we're going to attach one finger at a time so you don't drive yourself insane. It's a lot easier to control it if you just do one finger at a time. So turn off the smooth, attach, and let's start with the middle one. Luckily enough, we will only have very few issues. At least we can maybe add in more detail here. Let's attach the next. What we're going to do now is just target weld this down or up, whichever way you prefer. It makes no difference. You're going to have to reshape it anyway. So let's just go and target weld it up so we know what we're doing. Up, up. And we unfortunately have to target weld to the other finger when it's finally attached. For now, we've attached the bottom and the top. If you want, you can create an extra row of detail just to finish off the knuckles, but that's really up to you. Let's go before the days of and just add another row of detail just to make our lives easier and not lose any detail. Mainly on the top, because a lot of the top detail is important. Okay, I'm going to connect. I'm not going to bring it all the way through. We will troubleshoot those issues later. Let's just please, once again, get this fingers attached. I'm going extreme. You don't have to. I unfortunately have a disease that I like to have a little bit more detail in the knuckle area. So when I bend it, it won't collapse in on itself. So once again, leave that, or you can do this. Whatever you want. I'm going to leave it and connect the bottom. The bottom I'm not too really concerned about. It's mainly the top. Once again, attach the next finger and carry on and do it all the way through until you've done all of it. I'm just going to connect the one next to it. Target weld again. Connect. So from there to there is fine. There to there is fine. Just sometimes you have to actually go into wireframe mode to see what's going on. What we might need to do is just, in this case I'm going to target weld this down to the finger. And that one's going to go there. Once again, there and there. And I'm going to weld these two together and then create a new face of this. So I'm going to grab that one in there and I'm just going to weld it until, pump up the tolerance until it actually welds. You will have a big nice gap here, but it's going to be a quad, so don't worry. Just grab it and say cap it. Go and cap it. See what it looks like smoothed? Not bad. You might want to do what normally knuckles do, is just bring these in-between one slightly lower, so your knuckles can slightly protrude outwards, but please, once again, don't spend too much time on it. Let's attach the next finger, and then go all the way through until all the fingers are done. I'm going to attach multiples at the same time and just start target welding a lot of them. Start with the middles. And then go all the way around. In this case, we'll have to add in more detail along the edge, which I anticipated because there's not enough detail along that side anyway. And there we go. And now we're going to weld the middle verts, so those two. Let's start with this one and that one. And you can weld them. Done. Now go do the same with the other two. Target welding is you pick the child to the parent. Welding takes them all to a center point. So I can grab all of them and say weld, and it can weld them all into one beautiful point. Target weld means you will go from there to there. It'll force it from child to parent. If you've got a specific end point that you want it to go to, you tell it to go there. I'm going to make it one row of detail, and now we're going to target weld this again. What we're going to do maybe, actually we don't need a row of detail, we've got enough detail right over here. So I'm going to target weld. I'm going to say you're going to go to there, target weld from there, little dotted line pops up, you're going to go there. And now we're just going to bring these edges down. Not all of them, just the middle ones, so we can create a nice little smooth edge. And what I like to do is, because these are actually realistically more inset than the rest, and these are out, I'm going to do that even in the low poly, so it's easier to see as a guide. And now we've got this issue of how many nightmare points we have among them. Let's just quickly cap these and we worry about those afterwards. Cap them. I'm going to grab them both and cap them at the same time, because they can't cap them to each other. And once again, go to the top view and just adjust these verts so they're lining up nicely. And there we go. That's fine, and those just need to line up. And we will worry about the thumb after we've cleaned up this mesh. Okay, once again, bring these inside ones down. What we're going to do is we unfortunately might end up creating triangles that we might have to fix or leave if they don't create issues. So we're going to target weld middle, 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 literally where the knuckles meet, middle and middle. And now we have this little issue. How we fix this issue is we can delete these inside faces. I'm going to leave them because they're going to create knuckles, so I don't think they're going to cause too many issues. So I'm going to leave them for now. This one might cause an issue, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to forcibly create a triangle. Connect. Understand, if you're doing gaming stuff, triangles are the only way to go. I know this is going to get confusing. If you're doing pre-rendered stuff, triangles are the devil. If you're doing gaming stuff, triangles are king. Polys are the devil. These, it's very confusing. When I started doing the gaming stuff and they said, what are you doing? I said, making quads. Why? And then I was the one confused sitting there going, okay. And then they sat there and told me the reason behind it, and that's shading and everything in the gaming engine, and I went, okay. So from then on I stuck to triangles for making gaming stuff and quads for making pre-rendered stuff. Okay. And connect one more time. There we go. Now let's connect the thumb. So once again attach the thumb. And the thumb is slightly too high up, so I'm going to just grab that one. Let's just see how it's looking. Not too bad. I'm going to try bridge this gap so we can actually have more detail around. The thumb is never a bad place to have too much detail. Just pick the top ones and go bridge. And say, okay, bridge. Eventually you'll run out of points, and if you're lucky they all line up. If you're not lucky they don't. Well, then you have to make them work. As you can see, I don't like the way it's shooting off there, so I'm just going to try to get this geometry running a little bit smoother. It's just going to create some weird pinching. Turn on your smooth. Soften it off. And just soften it off. Okay, and now let's go close off the bottom here. Looks like we might actually have less issues. So I'm going to grab that one, bridge, and there, bridge. And now we've got another one here. Just grab it, open, and cap it. The key, once again, to doing the hand is this little topology running over here is very important. So when you fold the thumb down, it doesn't just fold at the joint. Once again, turn the smooth on. As you can see, now that we've got more detail, we need to start shifting everything around. Just keep shifting it around. Don't be afraid. You won't break it, and if you do, you learn from your mistakes. There are people that have been doing their model like 3 times over already. Trust me, by the 3rd time you will know the easy way to get around the problem. Okay. At the top, it's not so important if it follows the curve too much. I just try to keep these followed nicely. And there we go. That's your basic sausage hand to center max, to ZBrush. Just make sure it's not too flat, so if you need to grab the whole hand slightly, scale it up. Sorry, that's stupid. And now make sure your pivot's centered. So just center your pivot straight to the object, scale it up slightly. And you don't export it with smooth. You export it in low poly, and you smoothen it in Mudbox or ZBrush. And that will be your sausage hand. Like I said, the ear is the hardest thing to model. Whether you're modeling gloves or hands, it's all the same. Generally, I like to start with the basic body mesh and then work my way into extracting clothes from it. Okay, and that's about it, and I think I did okay on time. Okay, so we did the body, we did the hand, and we attached the ear.